Thank you. Good evening. Is anyone on the Zoom? Good meeting? Just Margaret. Just Margaret, okay. Oh, well.
Just.
Sorry, Margaret. You're the all important one. You're taking the notes. Okay. So we'll call the meeting to order then. And we'll have roll call, please.
Councilwoman Wadsworth,
Here.
Councilman Reed,
Here.
Councilwoman Funk,
Here.
Councilman Sandretto.
Is he going to be here?
He's just running a few minutes late.
Oh,
He said he's on
okay.
his way.
I thought he was going to be here. Okay. So we'll, I guess we'll get started without him. We do have a quorum. Okay, let's see. Bill, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
Not sure what. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now we'll start the budget workshop.
Let's step on the other side of the.
Well, yeah, I just marked it, so we didn't have to search, because I went looking at the city of Benton City.
Oh,
Apparently that's been awarded, so. We didn't.
Alan sent an email today that we've been awarded this $401,000 for 2022 Seal Code Awards. In
And it
multiple
looks-
locations, which is great news and requires matching of, how much is the matching?
It was 123,000 something, I think.
123?
No, I think matching was only 21,000.
I thought so too.
21,000?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh,
remember.
that's great.
I printed the email off and, but I don't have it.
Here you go.
And the grant was from where?
Transportation Improvement Board.
Oh,
We
great.
don't have the email.
So, but I read this to you.
I don't remember.
21,153.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what happens. So that's great news. Let's see the budget comparison file. So from when we had the workshop on December 6th, Shirley's been really busy and she made a whole bunch of updates, I think in line with, all the different pieces that we talked about in the timing. I came in a little bit early. We worked together a little bit last week remotely. And came in a little bit early tonight. It was to look through some of the changes. The only comments or questions that I have are left are on the benefits. So as an example, if we looked at page 4 of the big packet, under benefits, bars number 514232000 for finance and personnel. Right now, under 2023 appropriated, we've got 45,000. As a percentage of wages, it's only about 13%, 12 to 13%. And historically, if you look back at prior years actuals for 2020, 21, and 2022, benefits tends to be between around 38 to 44% across the board for all categories. So I want to encourage Shirley to take one more look at that. It's clear what makes up the numbers, the figures that she's put forward, but it seems like there may be some additional funds paid by the city that aren't perhaps being considered. And that would be true across the board for benefits. And I think other than that, the other changes that are pending are to do the allocations between the funds. So for us to be able to say we have enough money as a city to fund the budget, we have on page 1, the beginning fund balance, and then we have an ending fund balance. And you need the ending fund balance to be positive, but there's some transfers that go between accounts, and Shirley's still working on making those transfers between accounts for 2022. And then also we have to figure out how to bring that balance into the 2023 appropriated beginning balance. So right now you'll see on page 1, the beginning balance for 2023 is 521,800. And it's the same for both years, but actually it should be the beginning balance should be whatever the ending balance was for actual 2022. And we know we won't have that actual till later, but when you look at it now, it's quite high. And this is just a number that's there as a placeholder. So I think that those are the updates that are pending. I think Shirley's done a really good job, and the other updates have been.
Sherry.
It's Sherry, I was going to correct you.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Sherry. Have been impacted. I don't know if there's anything else that I missed though.
No, I don't think so. I think the insurance changed a little bit because we raised it instead of 3, for 24, I raised it 5%. We got more actuals today on it. So that's broke down between City Hall. Just a minute, let me find it. So I can- Page 5 is where one of them's at. 12% for that, basically City Hall.
On what page? Sorry.
It's on page 5. Sorry, I should have marked everything if I wrote it in there. And then actually. Actually, it was the same as 2022. It was 9,881.76. We got updated information today. So I corrected all those. And I guess I can have Springbrook help me look at the benefits. Because basically all I'm seeing is what I showed you today.
And I think we just need to be able to like go into the GL detail and see what else makes up the balances, because you can see the actuals and the higher amounts. It just doesn't quite jive with the payroll by individual.
Welcome,
My apologies.
no problem.
So to catch up Councilman Sandretto, I think all the changes have been applied that were requested, look really, really good. Except for benefits taking one more, employee benefits taking one more look at, because it seems like they don't jive all the way yet. They're at about 13% compared to probably closer to 40%. At least that's what we've seen historically. And then you'll notice that this version that's printed is in a different format because this is by fund. But the fund transfers haven't all been applied yet. So working with the vendor still to figure out how to go through that process because that's new. And then impact also like the beginning balance on page 1.
So you want the funds that she already had worked on, you want those done before the final item, whatever we do.
We're gonna have to match through some of them. You'll have to roll most of them through
Okay,
so that you can get closer to the appropriate ending balances.
Okay.
so that you get to a starting point for 2023 that's closer. I think
Okay.
once you feel like the number is closer though, I mean, this looks like it's a plug, the page on the number on page 1 at the beginning balance, the 521,800. So I'm not
Right.
sure if that's just something you have to type in, or if the vendor can, if there's another like update button you push and it
Yeah.
updates it.
I looked this afternoon and that we still hadn't received any more updates from EFTs. From state of Washington yet.
So the salaries that got updated, the temporary worker got updated, the insurance got updated. The benefits are still kind of under review. And then we had, I think, I think there was an action around, if the union contract, if it had stipulated what the annual renewal was, or annual increase was for salaries. I know you put an increase in there. Is there any more?
Yes.
And is that what's reflected in the numbers? Okay.
Yes.
So we've got benefits, and I think the rest of the stuff to look at is probably special projects and everyone kind of looking through to see where we're at. We had the discussion items to come back to that Councilman Sandretto had highlighted at the last meeting around, community center, riverfront park, talking about loan, truck stuff.
Can I bring something up on the benefits here?
Yeah.
Page 18, I'm seeing 12,917 for 2023, 13,552, and that's underwater. You go back a couple of pages under streets, and I remember what page that was on,
Maybe 16.
14 or 15. After next vote, so once I find it.
The streets is on 10.
Yes. Under the personnel benefits there, we have 0 and 0. And then if you even go further forward to where we put planner in. Up here, we have finance admin, we have the 45 and 48. And then under where we put planner. We have 25 and 25,750. So we still have some benefits back here missing. Or am I just not reading it right?
No, I think that there's benefits that are missing.
So on page 11, we have road street. Administration, personal benefits, 0 and 0.
Those ones that look like you'd repurposed, perhaps on page
We
11.
did.
I think that those had been repurposed, but I'm not sure where.
The only one that I actually see
It would go to the.
zeros is the one on page 11.
You'll see
Oh,
that,
that was under streets that we
On page
removed all those
10.
lines. Yeah.
but then they got rid of it on page 11, but it's still part of the street.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so
I'm in my last week's.
this one.
So it's on 20 on this one, and that's. We had extra lines in there. For. Some reason.
You have the street, because there was roads and it was.
It was streets and roads. You had two,
Roads and streets, and we took it off of that and put it under.
I put it all under streets, and then we had,
10 and 11, correct?
10 and
Yeah.
11.
Yep, okay, I see that. That's reselecting.
and then we had one section for streets, it said streets admin and overhead.
Mhm.
We removed. Those and put it into the streets,
Gotcha.
because we got 2 people in streets, 2 people in water. And 1 in parks and rec, and I shouldn't say it's just parks, right? And then we have a seasonal person for. Parks.
They're listed separately on page 7.
And is Wade's in there too, under WTP?
Pardon me,
Wade, is he in there?
Wade's in there under sewer,
Okay,
and then Jenny is under code enforcement. And then me, Carla, JB, Maribel and Diane are all under City Hall, under the office.
Okay.
Now, is it just, you said other than 13-14% or all?
All of them reflect 13 or 14%. And historically, each. Overall, if you look at wages as a percentage of total benefit, it's between. It averages 41%. So the low is 38 and the high is 44.
I think there's 4 of us that, there's me, you, and David came in August. And Max came in
In February, I think.
February.
I think if you're able to get into the GL detail for a month and compare. A fund that has 2 employees in it. To the information from payroll versus what the actuals are, you'll see the difference in the delta. And hopefully that can give you comfort and we can. Find an estimate that it can affirm the estimate being a little bit higher than what you're seeing, and we can figure out what else is being coded and allocated to the expenses. There must be something else. I mean. The difference is pretty big across the board, so.
Well, and I'm wondering if it's the taxes that. The quarterlies.
It could be a lot of things. We have a good track record to say it's a lot higher though, so. We'll have to, we're getting close, but we need to get to the bottom of that one because it's still.
Too low.
Still too low. Correct.
Well, historically, I think we determined the last time that benefits were social security and all that stuff. I don't know. I didn't see anything. At least in my perusings about healthcare anywhere else. So we're probably missing something
Mhm.
related to tying all of that into that fund.
And there's definitely a chance that that benefits as a percentage are not 40% for a lot of reasons. With some of the departures we've had of tenured staff and things like that, but they're probably still with medical benefits and everything else, I would guess pretty close to 30% of total salaries as an estimate, what I've seen in
That's
other companies
typical.
at least.
Okay. So that's what we pay healthcare with. Okay.
So there's 12 employees that we put on. Because when it needs to be on paper, so times 12, so it's.
206,000.
So 206,000. So the figures right now don't reflect 206,000. The 2022 actuals are 306,000. So what you're saying, if healthcare alone is 200,000, completely makes sense that you'd have this delta. The figures right now, though, but again, that reflects 44% of salary to benefits. I can add up what you have right now. Really quick.
Yeah,
It's just strictly no.
strictly medical, so retirement would bring that up. I don't know, 50, 60 down. What line item is retirement gonna be under? Is it?
I think it's under the benefits.
Think so.
All benefits are all together.
What's reflected right now is only 117,000. So 117,000 plus the medical you're talking about sounds like the perfect number. That sounds like exactly the figure we'd be looking for.
So we should have about 323,000 or 324,000.
Just for it's 206, 352, just for
Okay.
medical. And then
Oh, for
we
medical?
add- Yeah, for medical.
Okay.
And Sarah's saying that in there right now, you got 117. Which if you add those two numbers together, that historically would come out correct, but.
323, which is more or less in line. It won't be the same. It doesn't need to be the same, just is it reasonable?
Needs to be just.
Yeah, needs to be closer, needs to be closer. Cool. So we solved that. We solved that. So I think the challenge will still remain doing the allocations of transfers between the funds, both for 2022, but then 2023 and 24, so you can balance the funds.
So. But I have a question. So you would like me to go ahead and do those funds transfers before we do the. Finish the budget.
I think that to see if the budget is balanced, I think the answer is yes, because to balance the budget, so we
Right.
can understand where we're at and be able to approve it. For example, if we look on page 1 at the train bridge federal appropriation for the $2 million between the 2 years,
Right.
we show the revenue coming in, but we need to transfer that revenue out of the general fund
For
into.
23 and 24,
Mhm.
You can't.
I can't do that.
You can't transfer until you have it.
you can't transfer it until you have.
As
it.
a draft budget, it will let you. That's
Okay.
how we have it. That's what I have an
Okay.
original budget from 2022. And it has all the proposed transfers. For every single thing that's there. I think we have to ask the vendor,
Yeah.
how to make sure the funds are appropriately balanced and work through those transfers. And I could be wrong because I haven't done this before, but when we look at the budget that was approved in 2020 related to 2021 and 2022, we did go through that process. That's what it appeared, at least from the information I had available.
Okay, so you want those funds allocated, which is fine, but we can't like literally move
No.
the funds without having them.
Of course not, of course
So-
not. It's a budget. Of course not, right?
Okay.
It's about making sure that it's balanced. Balanced in your.
Okay, so we have two things. We need to do the 2022
Mhm.
and get those finalized in there. And
Mhm.
then you want us to appropriate a draft budget with the train bridge and
Yeah, to carry the rest of the,
COG and RFCC's funds.
Mhm. And now the TIB one also.
And yes,
The new
Okay.
TIB that came in today. And so by completing the appropriations and draft for 2022 and applying those, we'll have a better view of the beginning balances for 2023,
right,
which we expect to be higher to make sure that the city has enough money to fund the budget.
right. Is there anything?
I think it's really close. I think that those are like, hopefully the vendor has a solution to help just work through the application. I think the rest is just discussion about the rest of the topics from the last workshop and the council meeting on what council endeavors to put in for funding.
Well, I need to know. Or I think we all need to know. What's our anticipated revenue and where's this budget places in that revenue scope? So. Unless that data's here. I don't know that we can make a reasonable decision on that right this second.
I agree.
So.
Is it worth it in the interest of time to talk about like the priorities maybe that council has, or to revisit any of the conversations at all, or not really?
Well, we can discuss priorities. We got some other discussion we're gonna need to do about our process moving forward from today. So. We can discuss priorities, see where we're all lying on everything. As far as what we want to see move forward quickest or fund first. So. If you'd like to do that,
Whatever you'd like to do.
you're talking to the wrong guy here. What do we got to talk about? The paying off the one loan. Park
Park and-
money,
and community center. And city hall
community center.
and library. And then we also have this information from Jose on the.
Sweeper.
On the street sweeper.
On the back of all that, there's some bids that were requested for the fascia and the soffit. I was able to get a couple estimates for that. As well. And I got a better breakdown on the street sweeper as far as like interest rates. I know that was a question, breakdown per term. How much more we would pay if we went with the longer term. And so I don't know where you guys want to start, but.
Where's it at? Which page? Which booklet? Where are we?
So it's on the very back of all the sweeper stuff. The first page would say, I think it's Royal Roofing on the very, very back of everything.
Whoa, 77,000.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with Royal Roofing, I asked them to bid us on putting metal on the fascia board all the way around the community center, the library, and also underneath the soffit, and that's the number they gave me for that. There is some 2 outlets that would have to get moved. I wasn't able to get any bids on that. And then there's some like a Wi-Fi repeater that the library got installed, but they said that they would be able to move it for us. There's one more company that should be giving me a bid for metal work for the library, hopefully sometime this week. And the other 2 bids, Smile and Mile Painting, is it's for them to do the fascia and the beams and posts. And then they bid me separately if we wanted a stain, a clear stain, or clear coat the soffit. That's the only thing that I was gonna get a confirmation from them is if they were gonna if they added prevailing wage, which I think they didn't. So that number might change a little bit. Because if you look on the second one for the realty painting, they added prevailing, they added, adding stain to the soffit and the fascia, the beams and the big beam in the front with the post. Total price came out, I think it was 19,022 and 50 cents.
Yeah.
So that seems like more of what, with prevailing wage and everything added on there. So just some different options, either doing, some stain or doing some metal. Longevity wise, I think metal would be the best idea for longevity. It's more expensive initially, but I think longevity wise, probably wouldn't have to deal with it ever again. If we stain, they recommend redoing it every 7 to 10 years.
Mhm.
That's the type of warranty that they could give us on their stain. And that would be more of like a clear stain, not so much like a really dark stain on the wood features, like the big beam on the front of the library and like the post, the soffit, just so. Yeah. It could be a combination of both. Maybe we just do metal on the fascia and we stain the soffit and we stain the big beam, because I think aesthetically that's part of the aesthetic of the front of the library is that big beam, wood beam in the front with the post. I think it look really nice. Restain, I think it'll look really nice. And then just do metal maybe on the fascia and just never have to deal with it again. I don't know. I just bringing up some options and different ideas that I kind of thought of and a few numbers, I guess. Like I said, I was waiting for another bid from another roofing company. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
No, first of all, thank you for putting that together in such a short notice. I'm with you on that, just putting on the metal on the fascia and then staining the rest, because I mean, the wood is a great feature and it's wonderful to look at but I also know the fascia takes a beating when it comes down to our sun and weather. So I think putting metal where more than likely has the most damage from our weather would be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say I agree with metal, but in the same token, I'd say it's not probably the right time until we figure out where we're sitting here.
Well, I thought this was just a discussion. I thought we were.
It
Oh,
is.
okay.
But what I'm saying is that, yeah, metal would be great. I think though, when we're starting to prioritize this budget cycle, I think one of the things we got to look at is really getting that number set, which I discussed already. So if the funds are there, I don't have a problem moving forward with metaling it. I would caution to take a look at aesthetics on what the building looks like currently, so that we're not detracting from the overall aesthetics of the building.
I wonder if they have some sort of wood grain type metal. I know
They do. They
all
have
kinds
so many different options out there that
Yeah.
I don't see it being an issue coming up with something that would blend in really well with the look of the library.
So that'll be about 20 to 70 or 80,000, you say? So possibly
77
less.
was what the estimate was.
But that was for all metal. right?
Everything
Yeah.
underneath the
So-
soffit, and that's the fascia. The only thing that would be exposed is that big wood beam in the front and the posts that go to it. That would have to get stained. That I don't think we can metal that. Yeah. So I could, depending on what you guys want to do or what you guys want to see, maybe I could get some new numbers. I think I could get a better number for metal. I think personally that's high. Based on other projects, I think that's high. I think I could get a better number for that.
Well, I'm sure you could.
No. But I don't know what you guys want to see. Maybe just do metal on the fascia and stain the soffit and the front beam and the post. I don't know.
Well, again, I'd leave the choices as far as coming up with some selections to
Okay,
you.
okay,
But as was just discussed, we want to keep some aesthetics to that building.
right,
We don't want to slap up a brown metal soffit, say,
yeah,
and it looks like crap against the building. So you're gonna need to get some samples from these folks and come up with a plan on where we
Okay.
want to head with that.
Okay.
And it'd be something that I would suggest you bring forward to council in maybe a little packet that we can look at before a meeting or something and see what choices there are.
okay,
And so for today, it's really helpful, like Councilman Sergio said, to say, so you got some good direction. And then understand a little bit about the prices and opportunity for improvement, right?
Okay.
And then we keep working the numbers. We know something has to get done.
Yes, something has to get done,
Yes, something's got to get done.
but the answer is what?
Yeah.
and For what cost? Okay, street sweeper.
Okay, so I think the first one is the A storm. So that one is the most expensive one out of them all. So the first little pack is just a breakdown of what the sweeper is, the ins and outs and features it has. The second page, where it says NCL Government Capital, that's an estimate and kind of like a breakdown for, monthly payments for 3-year, 5-year, and 7-year terms. And that's for $200,358.23, and that's the, I guess, their lower trim. That's not the one that comes with all the bells and whistles. To get the one with all the bells and whistles, that's 212,000. And that also has a breakdown for 3-year, 5-year, and 7-year monthly payment. So on the very back of the second package, there's a breakdown sheet for both trim levels, I guess you could say, for the $200,000 one and for the $212,000 one. It's in red and green in the very back. I don't know if everybody. It's on the back of one. Yeah. Back.
Okay.
So that breakdown just kind of shows, depending on what term we go with, how many total payments and then the interest rate. It's just a little bit of a more, I know, Jessica asked for like interest rates last time, so the longer we go, of course, the more we're gonna end up paying as far as interest goes. It's just a little bit more of a breakdown for everybody to kind of take a look at. We are able to defer payments for up to a year with no penalty. If we were to pay the sweeper in full on the 2nd year or 3rd year, there's no penalties for it. But we do get the option to defer up to a year if we wanted to, or 6 months, just so we could, figure out other options to pay it off sooner or something. I don't know.
Do you have an opportunity to talk to GSA or any of those other agencies?
No, I didn't have a chance to look into that. With the short amount of time and snow, I wasn't able to, unfortunately. I know the city of Prosser went through USDA financing for their sweeper. They just bought one this year. And Marty, which is the public sports director over there, I was going to get in touch with him to kind of explore that option as well through
Okay.
USDA. Yeah, but that's a little bit of numbers and info for the first sweeper. The turnaround time for something like the A4 storm would be probably spring. We could have a truck by spring if everything wants to work out with budget. I know we're working on it. And then these sweepers aren't cheap. I mean, there is a used option. Used options run around 80 to 100,000. But you just never know what you're gonna get. You could get something that's being used on a daily basis, and usually the life expectancy for street sweepers around 10 of 15 years, and that's using it every single day of the week, like Monday through Friday. And now, as far as Benton City goes, we would probably use it once a week until we had a good program figured out, and then we'd switch over to once a month, and then we could go once every other month, once we got caught up with all our catch basins and curb and gutter, and everything was caught up and upkept. So we haven't had any street sweeping for probably the last year and a half. We haven't had anything. I think COVID really messed that up for us with the interlocal agreement we had with West Richland. which that was a budgeted amount of $7,000. And about like, they would come out 2 to 3 times a year. So that was a really good, interlocal agreement that we had with them, but due to manpower and, short staff, they're not able to commit anymore to that interlocal agreement. So moving on to the other sweepers, we got the Victory sweepers, Victory GX sweeper is a gas sweeper. It's just another option. That one's $136,000 and some change. And then on the back of that packet, there's a breakdown per term. Same thing. We could defer up to a year just to maybe accumulate more money and just try to pay this off, or just different options.
Is the other one diesel?
Yeah, the A4 and the Mark III Victory sweeper, they're diesel. But the Victory GX model, that's a gas one, which I haven't heard any good things from. Talking to a couple different cities, like I mentioned, the A4, city of Yakima, city of Titan, a lot of cities up the valley have the A4 Storm. They're just wanting to buy a good sweeper and probably be the sweeper that they'll have for a long time.
Well, the only thing I would comment is that the stock outlook for diesel is pretty dismal right now. They don't have enough refineries. And so to keep up with the demand, so they are expecting diesel to go up greatly, and telling everybody to invest in any refinery stock that you can find. But we may be facing with a double cost on the diesel in the future.
So looking at the specifications difference between gas and diesel, that gasoline is actually a very light duty truck. That's only a 38 horsepower compared to the other ones that are 75.
That is correct.
So I'm seeing that as quicker wear and tear
Yeah.
problem.
Absolutely.
So this decision is gonna have to kind of balance out. Also, I'm seeing only one of these is for non-CDL drivers. I'm assuming anybody that would drive this would have a CDL.
Everybody in the city has a CDL, yeah, so none or needed, I guess we'd be able to cover that as far as CDL requirements. Yeah, I would say probably, the good, better and best is kind of option, from the gas. And then mid-grade would probably be the Mark III Victory sweeper, and then
I agree.
yeah, the top tier would definitely be the A4 Storm. That's something that's, a lot of cities up the valley have, and they've had no issues. They like the truck. It does good work, and
Where is Victory Sweepers out of? I don't see an address.
they're out of Idaho, I believe. They have a location in the west side as well, and then A4 Storm Sweeper is out of
Spokane.
yeah.
I saw that.
I've been trying to find an interlocal agreement with other, cities and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, Prosser, West Richland, Benton County, DOT. I've had no luck trying to set something up with them. There is a company that sells the Victory sweepers. They do offer rentals, but it's like $10,500 a month and $1,000 delivery because it's coming from the west side. It's crazy expensive.
Thanks a lot for the information,
Yeah.
Jose. I guess one of the questions that it's a street sweeper. So we have dollar amount as a range. and a question around, priority consideration, budget stuff and everything else, it's great to know there's options for financing that allow for no prepayment penalty. We are hoping to have a discussion with Representative Rude's office next Monday to see if a street sweeper could be something that he's so inclined as an example, or what other type of things he might entertain taking forward for the state's capital budget. We won't have more information until that time, and I know we're pressed for time here, but if a street sweeper was something that was prioritized as something we needed, or we wanted to make a request for from him, I think it'd have to show be something in our budget. I don't know that that's true. I don't know as much as I need to yet about government,
It's kind of a good assumption, though.
that it would have to be something the city was planning to make an
Planning.
investment in. That then they could help us make that investment in, and then we could repay early. So I think that that's the sequencing, maybe for consideration is either, is the street sweeper something on our own as a city that we feel like we're ready to make an investment in some way, somehow. And then as another option, could it be appropriate for this other type of funding if it presented itself? Or is it not a priority that makes it into the budget at this time? I think those are the options.
The A4,
Yeah.
I noticed in the documentation, it says a lease payment.
Oh, I think they might have done a typo on there or something. I noticed that as I was printing it out, and it'd definitely be a purchase payment, not a lease payment.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's what it is. It's a
Yeah,
purchase payment.
yeah, we don't want to lease a sweeper for that much money, no.
Yeah, that to me would be a poor investment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They're actually gonna bring the Mark III tomorrow. So we're gonna demo it tomorrow, see how it runs and drives on it. And all the bells and whistles and the ins and outs of it. Depending on how cold it is, we might not be able to actually clean a curb and gutter with it, but we'd be able to look at the ins and outs of it and see if something that we wanna. I wouldn't be committed to any one of these sweepers unless I demoed it. So.
Okay.
I mean, if I had a choice, I wouldn't be able to pick one as of right now. I mean, everything looks good on paper until you demo and test drive it.
What are you gonna do with the old one?
Well, we did get the old one from the city of West Richland with the intention of us being able to sweep our own streets and getting out of the interlocal agreement. Unfortunately, those parts are made in somewhere in Europe, and we are not able to get any parts for it. I mean, we can't find a supplier in within.
Yeah, I understand that,
States,
but are
yeah.
you just gonna try to sell it? Or
Well,
what?
I don't know if we can, because it was given to us. I don't know if we can surplus it or not. I don't know if that's something we
Well,
can
it
do.
seems
or
like
not.
it's taking up a lot of space. If we're gonna get another one, we might need the space to put the new one in the garage.
Yeah, if they've transferred it to us, I'm sure we can sell it and access it.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
I mean, it's drivable, and we've spent some time on it trying to figure out parts and what it would cost to try to get it up and going. We did get the secondary engine to turn on, but we cannot get the vacuum to actually operate. So that itself, I mean, I think the mechanics over there in West Richland, they hot wired that engine somehow. So we rewired part of that engine to be able to start it. We were able to get it started, but we cannot operate the vacuum system on that truck. If we were able to get the vacuum system operated and running, I think, we might be able to wing it, I guess, per se, with that truck, but we cannot get it to. I talked to the same company that's offering the Victory sweepers to actually they buy surplus sweepers and Vector trucks, and they refurbish them and resell them. I asked them if they would be able to refurbish the one we got, and they said that same thing, that problem that we're running into, they cannot find parts or anything for it. So they said they wouldn't be able to refurbish or try to do anything with it. I found it funny that they would be able, they said that we could get a trade-in value for it if we were to get a new one. So I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that was the sell pitch, but yeah.
We probably have somebody else that has the exact same one, or they
Oh,
have
I
one
think
sitting in their
I
back.
know it. They probably have somebody in the back burner waiting for parts and.
Mhm.
It's usually how it works. Well, all I can say is thank you again for bringing
Yeah.
the information forward. I'm excited to hear what what your thoughts are at the machine that you look at tomorrow. I think moving forward, that's probably going to be a great feedback on how you feel about the different machines and which one you think would be a best fit. And then us moving forward on what we can budget for and financially afford.
Okay, thank you.
The price range for them is. it
From
sounds like
130 to 200.
But it sounds like the 136 is maybe one that you'd toss out.
I would.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that
Probably not.
one.
So it's probably something more like 100 and call it 190.
Oversized go-kart, to be honest.
Yeah.
looking at it,
So it's
Yeah, I just wanted to bring options, so I
Very
just,
light duty.
you know,
I'd say 190,000 to 220,000 by the time you add in tax and things like that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
And I guess if you find somebody that really wants our old one and they're gonna offer you a lot of money, let us know.
Yeah, no kidding.
Park funds,
How about loans next?
okay,
Is loans okay?
we can go to loans.
Okay. Thank you for the information. Do you think, as you've gone through it, that we've missed making any payments?
No.
Okay,
No, they've all been. Maybe.
okay.
Well, loan wise, as I discussed the other day, the Department of Ecology loan L 030025B. I think it would behoove us if we could get that off our plate to pay that outright and finish that loan.
Is that the $27,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I think it's a quick win for us. It frees up some capital in the long term.
It's fine.
With these loans, are we under any kind of contractual? Reporting the ecology or anything else, or is it just? They lend us money, end of story?
That was for the WTP.
Okay,
The other one, the solar one, is not through ecology.
and it's not gonna. Nothing here, if we pay anything off, is gonna void the warranty or anything for the next year. Do you know, any kind of warranty or?
No, as I discussed a couple of weeks ago, though, I would like to get a report to see how much return on investment we're actually getting on that. I know once it's paid off, we'll be able to keep all of the
Right,
money for the electric, but right now, the last time I asked Wade, he said he thought it was saving at least $1,000 a month.
And I guess if we look at, I just. If we look at page 22 of the information from the report from tonight. I think page 22, the loan on page 22 relates to the second loan listed on the packet from Carla. And it says we'll have 2 payments, but we've only made that one payment. I know this is one that we'd had up for discussion. So in 2022, we've only paid 53,000. But it looks like we're supposed to make 2 payments a year. So this is the one I was wondering about, if there's another payment we're supposed to make.
You talking about the sewer lining?
No, the wastewater treatment plant, the 25A.
In other, so under account for under debt service, 91357801. On page 22, in prior years, we paid the 53,000 times 2, and then in 2023 and 2024, we have scheduled to pay 106,000 also. But so far for 2022, we've only paid 53,000. So I'd like to request that we just, I think we'd had a discussion about this. Maybe this is, I think maybe how the discussion came up. Perhaps this was closer to being repaid, and we're 2023 and 2024, right? Were they too high or too small? It looks like we definitely have payments.
Well, they're due in like the first part of January and July.
Mhm.
So my guess is it was probably made in December. Right.
That would take our balance down to about 160. 159.
Yeah, see, the payment is made in December,
Oh, okay,
and so they make it in June and December to
Got it.
get those pay dates.
on time. Got it. So it's coming still.
Actually, I
Perfect.
think she mentioned to me that it was due soon and she was gonna take care of that. Right?
Yeah, and it's probably on the
List to get paid.
list
Yeah.
to be paid.
Okay. Okay.
Where are you seeing that under debt services?
Right here,
Oh, up there. Okay.
right above debt.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
June and December.
So it gets paid, so that it's to the place that it's supposed to by the due date. That makes complete sense. Thank you, Carla.
So we go through another year of that and we'll be ready to pay that one off too.
So with that 591.35.78.01. We're gonna make regular payments in 2023 and possibly pay it off in 2024.
That's what I would shoot for.
And the due date's 2020, it looks like it'll end in 2024.
Let's see if that payout date is. Payout is just.
It'll probably be one payment in 2024, but that's fine if we can get it paid down.
Mhm. So it should be the 53,120, the 53,029.
Yeah. 12 minus the 53.29. So we'll be at 159 after our next payment, 159,090.
Be about 56.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Minus
the
another
first year.
106,059. With the remaining balance of 53,031, so the 2024, instead of being 106. Should be 53,031. Roughly.
Or you could just call it 54.
50.
You
yeah.
could call it 54. So on page 22.
Yeah.
In 2024. For account number 591357801. The 2024 number instead of 106,059 should be 54,000. Does that look right to you, Carla?
Pretty close, yeah.
Good catch, Bill.
Yeah. Can give you an exact amount if you want. So the final total on that for the 2024 would be 53,029.93. OCD kicking in.
So I think what'll happen is, it's, so you know, we were talking about on the first page, how there's a beginning fund balance.
Yeah.
Um. There's a way that that rolls through to every single account where the ending balance from 2022 would become the beginning balance of 2023 for each fund. And each fund should be balanced and have a positive attribute at the end of where we're at.
But it jumps in the back down.
Yeah. So the way I understand it is this number, the ending balance would come back over here, but you have to, because there's all these different, these are actuals, it's 2022 actuals, and then how to affect that change into the 2023 appropriated or proposed to these other places is something I think the vendor will help with.
Yeah. That's the best chemical bill, that's pretty good.
It looks like since Alan's been out, there's still a few numbers with him that are open for review probably too, right?
Pardon me?
Are there still a few numbers that are open with Alan for review? You think?
Yeah.
Because he's just been really sick.
He
Very
doesn't
sick.
sound good at all.
Mm-mm.
He said if you did have questions, we could ask him questions,
Yeah,
but he just didn't sound, he just said he starts coughing and he just can't stop.
Does he have the respiratory virus? I hope he doesn't have COVID.
He said he was sick for a week and he said he doesn't ever remember being so sick that he couldn't work.
Oh, no.
And he still, yeah, he doesn't sound like he sounded better than he did, but
Man.
Ready to talk about park funding?
Mhm. So on page 14. I think the first one that we had listed to talk about was 594-736-401, the community center furnishings. Does that sound correct?
We're gonna talk about that one. That's fine.
What was the number again?
Page 14, 594-73-6401. It's the top one. It has $14,000 as placeholders for 23 and 24.
Oh,
The top.
oh, I see. Okay. Okay,
We got it listed under furnishings.
Wasn't that like the upgrade to the kitchen or?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking, we replaced the stove. They were talking about doing some remodeling in the kitchen. And my preference is to add some other rooms along the side so that we could have classrooms, or even if people want to make some products there in the community center, having a room where they can mess with it or have space where they can have a class or whatever they want to do with the kitchen stuff. And then, but for just for learning with all the computers, that we would have to buy computers to go in there, laptops or something. But we will have the capability. I think we're getting 2 Nighthawks that go with what we've already signed up for with the first net. So we could be capable of having 10 computers in there.
My only concern is $14,000 is not very much money to do really a whole lot of much, if
No,
anything.
No, I think this is was to look into it and get estimates, or.
I
was
think
that
that's what
that
we're
was?
talking about. Yeah, come
Yeah,
back with a plan so that we can move forward into the
right,
24 budget. We'll end up having to do a budget adjustment into next year, but
yeah,
um,
Yeah.
we'll have to see what kind of costing you got. As far as building additions, remodeling, what's the plan?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get somebody in to talk about it.
And I think also looking if we decide to move forward on a new city hall on that direction would be able to have a facility where they can have something like that.
Yeah, but that won't happen for another 5 years, probably.
Yeah, it'll probably be a few years out, yes.
Yeah.
So are we okay leaving the money in there that's been appropriated for now?
I think so. I think that's an approvable amount in my mind. As long as we can balance, right? Gives you some flexibility, get some quotes, maybe do some building upgrade if you need to, move out the bar or whatever. I mean, there's a little bit of money there.
Yeah. I think I'd like to consult with some sort of either an engineer or a designer of some sort to figure out what would be the best use of space. But I do think we need at least 2 or 3 classrooms. If we could have that, then I think we could do, the computer training, we could do Spanish and English and a lot of those things.
I'm not necessarily in disagreement with that. My concern would be the amount of use that we would see on a year-round basis.
Yeah, I think we've got to get serious about the program, and I think we upped the ante this time in the budget. We've got to get somebody that knows what to do. I think we all agree there wasn't the proper advertising and, So I think with Kyle Spees in there, he's kind of a go-getter, and he could probably help us a lot with, his community outreach, and he has lots of connections. I got invited to their Christmas party, so I figured I'd go and see, how many kids he had over there and everything.
Okay. So yeah, I think right now we're in a good spot.
What one's next?
Park. Did we talk about park?
Riverfront Park.
That's the one.
So we said we'd review it more in January.
We did.
We had an update from. So the bill there's been no bill that's passed federally, and we don't expect to have direction on if the appropriation for $2 million will be awarded before the end of this calendar year. It's very likely to go into next year. And we don't have more information that we know
Right.
at this stage.
Yeah.
We know that the cost to the $2 million is to purchase and rehabilitate in part the train bridge. There'll be additional funds that be needed. And then part of us making that request for the appropriation is to work on expanding the Riverfront Park area over time, not just 2 years, but over a longer period of time, which could be 4 years or 6 years, making an investment. So we're not only able to meet that obligation, shall the federal appropriation be awarded, but also so then we're able to seek in 2024 RCO grants again, and have matching funds in our budget.
So is our number right?
No, I think the number needs to be higher for sure.
Yeah.
It definitely needs to be, I think it needs to be higher.
How much higher?
All those numbers were derived. I think it came out to 2,500 or something like 2.5 million, but that was all before the inflation. And so I'm sure it's going to be more. But I'm afraid that they will go with a continuing resolution like they seem to always do. And so then it was unclear where we stood with with the, if they just went on continuing resolution, did you understand what John said? If they went on continuing resolution, he said he thought they'd have to start over or something.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like there's a long ways to go maybe in the process to move forward. However, it is in the bill that, as far as we understand, is still tied to approving the federal budget. But yes, more to do. So we had the total project cost at 4.2, estimated at 4.2 million. And we had 2.4 million, 2.5 million is the estimated expense for the phase around the bridge, rehabilitation, accessing the bridge. So we had a shortfall of $500,000 from the federal, between the federal appropriation and what we need for the phase. But then for the first phase, what we've done to date for the project is what we've acquired the property. And how much have we invested to acquire the property?
well,
Hmm.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I think it's
We
listed.
didn't pay too much.
500 and 138.
Yeah,
So
one
I
thirty-eight.
think it's what's on 59476 Riverfront Park Land Purchase.
Yeah, it probably looks about right.
And then we see that if you go up on the same page 14, so we could call that 144,000 that's been actually invested. I think we'd applied for some other grants in the past, but those grants had not been awarded. And that could have been maybe a point of miscommunication perhaps. But then if we go back up to 2022 actuals under intergovernmental revenue, we did receive an RCO grant for the Riverfront Park for $73,000. Was that to be used towards the land purchase?
And it was.
And it was. Okay. So far we've invested out of, so if I understand correctly, we think the total project cost is 4.2 million. We have requested a $2 million federal appropriation. So we've got 2.2 remaining and we've spent $144,000. So the gap is $2 million.
Yeah,
Well. I think your number is after purchase, your 2.2, is it not?
Oh, I see what you're asking. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So we still got 2.2 to make up, but. The other thing we have to look out. Is we're budgeting out, right? So we don't know if this federal appropriation is going to come through.
Correct.
But the one thing that we do know. Is there's a requirement through RCO. And you can help me on this, Madam Mayor. That we have 2 years to improve the park by a certain.
certain amount. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so some of the things that we need to be looking at. And that's where this first 50,000 is going to play in. Is access to the park. How are we getting people there? I know we got a trail going down there. That's an awful long way for people to get down to there via trail. So
but we have Dale Avenue. That's what I was thinking. Can't we use some of that Dale Avenue extension money? Because that was.
we
the
should be
lead
able
part.
to,
So.
but I don't know if RCO will buy that.
Well, they
So
might.
They
I mean,
might.
It
And
would
we need
be
to figure that out.
access. And then the water line, we're gonna have water down there.
Yeah, we need to get that.
So
covered in there.
that's going in when we put the road in, right?
Sure.
That, what
But
else? I
they
don't
may-
think sewer is going down there, but I think.
Well,
water
we were
is.
gonna run it down. The road because of the potential for development.
Yeah,
So,
so if we could even claim a percentage of it based on what's going to the subdivision, what's going to the park. Because some of those numbers are pretty large. I don't know what the total is, but I know there are hundreds of thousands for
the road,
the road and.
well, I know Alan was saying. Just for the road. 2 years ago, he was estimated about 230,000.
From 7.
from Seventh to the park or just before the park. Which we would have to have an access road from the park down to the park, or from the road down to the park. Which that was additional paving and infrastructure pieces.
Yeah, I don't know if we can make that argument, but I would think we could.
Well, so this first 50,000, my envision when I said that was, we need money there to meet that RCO requirement, regardless of how we do it. If we can get it under the Dale Avenue thing and we're gonna start that project next year, that's great. If not, we need to be able to tie in our TIB for that trail extension. And we need to establish at bare minimum a gravel access
Mhm.
Mhm.
down there.
Yeah.
To show that we're making improvement to that, to meet our RCO requirement.
So in 2024, the amount should probably be higher no matter what, and we could go back and revisit that too. but
Yes, we can revisit that the end of 23,
Mhm.
once we know where the appropriation sits.
Mhm.
And if we do get that appropriation to make that happen, I'm more than happy to, as the end of that year, to agree to up that significantly. As long as we have budget. Because I'd like to see that come to fruition.
And
Go on.
And we could also, perhaps this could be an ongoing dialogue as we understand more about where the appropriation sits, so we can work on seeking in advance, matching funds from other funding opportunities so that the city's not bearing the full cost.
Mhm.
So for now, the number stay as is.
I think so. I think it's a good ballpark. I will listen to all viewpoints on this, so if anybody has a disagreement,
Mhm.
okay. Then the final item on my list is the city hall.
Yeah, I understand your plan and my immediate need is space for employees and contractors. And I'd also like to focus on return on investment on that building, because I think the sheriff wants to be in there. And he can buy pieces of equipment, but he can't pay rent. I was trying to make a swap with him out of our 200 or 300,000 that we pay him a year, to maybe say, okay, your rent's $2,000 a month or whatever, and take it off of that. But they wouldn't go for that. So they are in for some piece of equipment. But I don't know if they come up with $200,000. I don't, but they're willing to chip in on some of it. And so I would really like to get some return on investment there and maximize that at the city community center as well. Because I just see we're making some money on the community center, but I think if we had different rooms and everything, we could be making a lot more. So that's where my mindset is, finding a place to house everybody in the interim, and then once you get the city hall, the big one built, then switch over there. I haven't looked for the plans yet on that. I know we have the newest plan of the city hall, which we paid the architect to do. But I have seen the old plan, but that was a long time ago. And so we'll just have to search till we can find it. And I've made some progress. I've set up appointments with 3 different abatement companies. And I've called 3 or 4 realtors. I haven't gotten a single call back from any realtors. I don't know why that is. Not a single one. You'd think they'd be jumping on commercial property, but
Well, I don't think anybody's jumping on anything right now.
Yeah, nobody is. Yeah. So, the alternatives that were brought up, we've talked about moving into the community center. But the acoustics are really, really bad in there. And I think we need to have different equipment or something for us to have a good meeting. And previously, we didn't have any Wi-Fi in there, but we can work that out now. But I see it as a good, stopgap for housing, and having the sheriff down there, I think, is going to be important to the town. Everyone feels safer when the sheriff has a presence.
So on page 8, with the things that we're talking about, there's a, on page 8, under capital expenditures, there's 594 184100 City Hall remodel feasibility. There'd been a little bit of money spent in 2022, $2,095. But for 2023 and 2024, I think part of the council discussion that we're working to have is, do you want to allocate any more dollars around remodel feasibility or anything else related to City Hall? I think this is one of the only accounts other than the actual City Hall construction fund that we kind of have tagged towards City Hall that I see. I could be wrong. Those are dollars that we want to allocate. And I know it's part of a larger discussion, but to be able to facilitate something.
But we had been putting 50,000 a year. Where is that?
That's on page 15 in a construction.
Oh, okay.
And we haven't yet applied that 50,000 for 2022, but we know that it should be applied because that was part of the 2022 budget. So that's on account, the inter fund transfer, page 15, 397000500. These are the allocations that are going to be worked on. And then the question is, do we want to continue to do the appropriation for 2023, 2024 in anticipation of doing something? But that's a fund for construction. My suggestion would be to continue to fund it at $50,000 for 2023 and 2024 until we have more direction on what to do in the bigger scheme of things. So at least there's a placeholder there.
I
But
think that's a
coming-
wise idea, to continue to build on that account.
Yes, it is.
Coming back to page 8, then, for the request that we've made of administration to work through feasibility, are we willing to allocate any dollars around that?
I don't know. I mean, putting more money into the old city hall, is that what? I just don't feel like, even if we could fix it up, is it still, would it fit our needs that we are needing right now?
Yeah, as long as we keep this, we could put public works over there, the planners. Because we
No,
don't.
I meant like us quit renting this and being able to move
No,
back.
we can't do that.
And that's where I
No,
feel like
it
moving
would be
towards
a-
a better direction.
Yeah, but then we don't have seating for everybody. Where are we gonna put them?
We don't have anybody in that building as it is right now, right?
No, but, so everybody has to come in here and use this room for planning meetings. Over there, the design had a conference room and 3 offices along one wall and a couple of other offices on the other side. And I think the design would work if we put engineering and public works over there, kept the admin here, because we have better parking. And it's really hard to park on that main street, pulling in and everything. And with public works over there, you don't have that many people coming in as we do here. We have higher, higher pedestrians. But I think we need to have something to make it for the next 5 years or whenever we're going to have the money to
So
get that designed and built.
maybe the name of the account is the problem, but the topic is still the topic. So so perhaps there's not a ready willingness at this stage to commit additional funds for City Hall remodel, but still for City Hall alternatives or feasibility. I think that that's something that I kind of hear is as of interest to come up with, how much revisiting the plans of how much it would cost to do a new building, the cost it would be to actually get refurbish the old building, proceeds from the sale, if the building can't accommodate it, and how we just move forward and working on putting that plan together. That's what I'm asking, if we want to put money towards, if we're asking the administration to like come up with some of that. Is it gonna, or will the administration need money to be able to come back to council with a plan? So we can see alternatives. That's the question I guess I'm trying to pose. Or will everybody do the work for free?
I wish.
Hmm. You got a thought over there. I see it. What is it?
I envision is getting out of here, getting out of there, and building a facility that is going to be based on the growth of the city. Keeping this and keeping that, to me, does not constitute growth.
Well,
And hear me out.
okay,
For the last year I've been on council, you've constantly said we've needed more personnel. We've needed more personnel. We have no room here for public works and we're maxed out on room here. Where are we going to put these people that you ask for?
that's what,
With the public works, they don't have anything over here. Engineering has nothing over here. So if we move them over there because they use the council room or whatever, is that space going to be adequate?
yeah, for the planner.
But I don't see, we still have the problem here with the admin side. It's already tight. And we have no room for growth.
Well,
I,
one thing we could do, well, they've already expanded into this closet room here. I mean, we
we're
can
putting
take,
people in closets.
I know. We,
Sorry, I don't think the city hall is
Yeah.
keeping up with the growth of the community. And the needs.
no, it's not. And that's why I'm suggesting we do like West Richland. We have 2 different buildings temporarily till we can afford to build the big one.
But is it temporarily gonna be
5 years, 6 years, whatever you think it's
requiring
gonna take.
more financing? Or do we look at maybe next year or the year after, considering going for a loan just to build what we need? We have a dilapidated building with asbestos. We're gonna have that fight there. Admin here, it's not big enough. We're putting people in closets and we're still asking for more people.
Yeah,
Neither one of these buildings are appropriate for the growth of this community.
that's correct. I agree with you.
So I think we need to possibly do what we have to do to get this budget in place. But maybe hold a workshop in the near future in the next, say, the first quarter of next year. And we have a solid 5 to 10 year plan for the city. I really think we need to do that.
I think that's a great idea. I don't object to that. I just think in the interim, you're gonna need more space as we grow.
I'm just afraid of investing any more taxpayer money into a building that we can't see long-term using.
Well, you can rent it out.
All of us in the pits of our heart are all ready to get rid of that building over there.
Well, it's just been such a hot topic for so many
It
years. I remember when you guys moved out, we were down at community center having city council meetings down there. And I just feel like this is just a vicious circle that continues to spin, and I'd really like to just see us, like you said, move forward with a great plan to hopefully start
Yeah.
something new and fresh for us.
And there's options.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the final goal. I know we could sit here and we can throw everything at this all night and still not be done with the conversation.
Yeah, well, just think
we
about the
got property.
timeline that you need to
Yeah.
do that. That's the thing I'm concerned about is okay, you get this money, first you have to have a place to put something, then you have to design the building and make sure it's big enough to deal with us for the next 20 years.
Yeah, we got plenty of room down by the sewage treatment plant. We could build maintenance offices down there. And then build a city hall for the admin. I mean, we've got land.
Yeah.
We've got where the library's at. We've got plenty of land there for an admin building. We've got plenty of room down there by the sewage treatment plant. We could put offices down there if it came to it.
Yeah, but then again, you still have to build it.
Right.
So it depends on the cost of,
So I'm in favor of putting money in the 2023 budget, like $10,000, because I want to see the plan. The administration needs to deliver to us a plan with the alternatives. Alternative one, sell the building. How much money can we get? Because the direction may very well be sell the building, and then we will work on a plan, because it's not. There's no support around continuing. We haven't made an investment in the building. There's been no investment. That's been a stalemate already. And if there's
well,
going
we
to be.
put in 150,000 into it.
What year did we do that? Because we can clearly see that that's not been in the last 3 years.
No, we put the whole facade on and we stopped all the leakage and we got rid of the mold.
What year
That
did we do
was
that?
prior, that was more than 3 years ago.
It
Yeah.
was 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think, if council is supportive, I'd like to request we put $10,000 in for 2023. And I'd like to request that there's direction given to administration and we just move forward with working on the longer term plan, which probably involves selling that building. But we need to see the numbers and we need to not be talking about it. So I'd be
Yeah.
willing to say, here's a little bit of money to spend. Revisit it in January, but we want to have clear direction as the first half of 2023 priority on what a plan looks like for the city. Is that realistic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm up for coming back with a couple options.
And the city planner might even come in and say, hey, check this out. I'm a planner. He might have some.
for sure. For sure.
I mean, there's like 8 billion different things here that we can explore. And that's the problem. So obviously we need to find those plans. We need to get an estimate on what the previous plans were. Well, we need to make sure they're adequate. Council needs to review them
yeah.
and have a
then
discussion with you.
Another contractor come in and bid them.
We're gonna have to get an estimate on that. We're gonna have to get an estimate on the remodel. And if we go off the bids we got last time, it's not gonna be favorable. So you're gonna have to do that. I'd like you to look into the local loan program with the state of Washington. What their finance rates are on that. How much we can loan against that. For either project. Because there's no way we're funding a remodel or building a building unless we finance it some way.
I agree.
And I would prefer that we keep that finance inside the already established budget lines. So if we have to plan out that it's gonna take 3 years and we have to buy a what do you call them, modular trailer for public works and the planner to work out of down at the yards. That may be the option. Okay. Not saying it's a good option. I see the look on your face, but it's an option. Because the idea here is that we want to stay inside our fiscal boundaries to facilitate this building. And if we have to look at redoing a different sort of building, that's fine. It's always been my proponent statement that a new building with a 50-year to 100-year lifespan that's built next to that library is better than dumping money into this building for 10 or 20 years. It'd give us the opportunity to build extra space, things like that. Put a community center in the basement for your classrooms, your teachings that you want to do. That eventually, if we outgrow it, we can move down in there and build another community center.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's all about looking ahead and planning ahead for what our eventual growth is. To tie into that, we need to know what the employee count of similar sized cities is, where they're sitting. So we can look at, this is what they're at. This is how many citizens they have. Where are we going to be in 5-10 years? That's part of our planning process and understanding this.
And what happens to our it has to take into account, I think, a little bit, what happens to our population once the moratorium is ended and we get to building, these last few pieces of property out here
Oh, I totally agree.
and traffic.
Yeah.
There's a whole chunk to this,
Yeah.
right? This is where that planner would come in really, really
Mhm.
handy, especially if they were here and could understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, I'm gonna try real hard to get that contract out of Craig so that we can take a vote on it on Tuesday, next Tuesday. Cause he's had it and he keeps saying he doesn't know he has it. I've sent it to him twice already. I think I sent it to Sherry too. So,
So yes, 10,000.
I agree.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So Greg mentioned something the other day about having to have the budget approved by the 25th.
Mhm.
I looked at the RCWs on this. I do not see that in there. However, I do see that we have to have the public hearing by the 25th.
so maybe we should set that up for the 20th.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Now we're gonna have to talk to Craig and Eric on this, because I read through the RCWs pretty well. And basically it says that, well, who's all on here right now?
Margaret?
Okay, so I'm sure it'll go out to the public, but so the first problem is that the budget should have been posted 3 months ago as a preliminary budget. So we're way behind that right now. However, it says that according to the RCW, we have to have the budget posted for 2 weeks prior to approval. But it doesn't say prior to the public hearing. So if we can get the budget published Thursday, Friday morning. Because we got a Friday night or Friday afternoon approval, right? That's what we came up with.
Friday.
Yeah. So we got to get it published before 5 o'clock on Friday.
this Friday
Yes.
Yep.
before the meeting. Okay.
So we've scheduled one more Thursday meeting here, right?
We have to be done Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah,
So budget's got to look good. In that process, RCW requires that any major changes, I don't know what a major change consists of. We have to write a little synopsis of why that happened.
Major change, go ahead.
Our next meeting is scheduled for this workshop is Thursday, the 15th at 5:30.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So 16th, that's Friday, there's nothing on the schedule.
right.
That's when we have to publish this
That's
by.
publishing. Yeah.
Publishing.
Because we have a meeting for the 30th. Did we set a time on that yet?
And you did not set a time on that. I have not put that on.
Okay, so. It's the 30th, yes. So. I think as long as we get it approved at that meeting. Okay,
What does the publication entail? Is it just publishing it on our website? And it's.
yeah, you probably should have a copy in the office in case somebody wants to come in and look at it, but
And you,
And maybe even on Facebook, say, go to the website and look up.
Doesn't have to be in a newspaper.
I'm not 100%
I
sure.
don't know. It would cost so much money to publish in the newspaper. It would-
What's the
Well,
announcement?
Just a note.
notice to give a notice.
that it's available.
Just that it's available for public view.
And there's a space on the website where we put it.
Yeah,
And it says we can adjust all the way till we approve. So
Correct.
Okay,
that's fine. But so if there's any major changes, we need to have a synopsis of why. I don't know what you guys. Nobody likes you, whoever you are,
Major changes between when and when. Major changes between,
this budget and last one.
okay,
So a fund change, say,
Mhm.
and I don't know what a major is, it just says major. So figure out that dollar figure.
so probably the federal appropriation and development of Riverfront Park would be major.
Those could be, yes.
Okay, that's a synopsis, that's fine.
Yeah, and just say budget allocation, blah, blah, blah. I assume we've have a previous budget. You can kind of look at that, I'm assuming. But that's gonna have to go out with the budget document. Which is gonna have to be published by Friday. Then we hold public hearing on the 20th. Over the preliminary budget. So if somebody wants to say something in open council. And then we come back and we approve on the 30th. I think we're golden legally at that point.
so how many days notice do we have to give on the public hearing? Does anyone know that?
I would assume it's the standard for even
Standard. Yeah,
special
that's what I
meeting.
thought. I thought that's what Craig said.
Yeah.
That's why we picked Thursday of this week to get this done.
right.
So it could be published Friday for Tuesday's council meeting.
So,
Guess we have to have like the first reading of the ordinance and we're gonna have to have all that good stuff. done.
We can call somebody, Craig or so, or
Well,
Millie
I got
Ann
the
and say when.
ordinance to him. I put it together last week and sent it to him to review. And then he called me to go over the dates to make sure we've gotten notice, which we had because it kicked in like back in November, so we were hit. So we hit all of our dates on noticing with the budget.
okay,
But yeah, that's. We just need to get it done
yeah,
at this point.
and we're pretty close. I mean, we just need to make it finalized Thursday. And get it out. Or actually get it up as a preliminary budget on Thursday, Friday. Have our public hearing, make sure everything's good and approve it on the 30th. Now, I'd run all that by Craig, just to be sure, or Eric. But that's how I read the RCW. There's no stipulation on exact approval. There's just a stipulation on the date for the hearing, which has to be before the 25th of the fiscal year start.
Okay,
So,
so did we see that we're closed on, no, that was Christmas Eve, we're closed, right? We're not closed New Year's Eve. On the
New Year's Eve
30th.
is 31st. So this is the day before New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so we're okay.
So we should be good. It's a little tight, but I think we'll make her.
So you guys don't make huge amounts of adjustments because we have to finish the
I-
paperwork.
I think we've got everything where it is. The only thing we need to do is make sure it all lays out right?
So I think, so here's the adjustments that I have that are in here. I have the new account for the TIB that Alan sent today. That goes in revenue on page 1. And then moves into streets with the $22,000 matching fund from us.
Okay.
Correcting medical, so the total's closer, the benefits account to
benefits,
include
yes.
medical. We provided some draft numbers that sound like they'll actually be pretty good to
Okay.
use. Then the information from Alan, we haven't really confirmed with him, but I can take a closer look at this format and see if there's more work that I can do, if there's anything else we can cross off. And then I think it's working with the vendor on, it's not because Sarah wants it. It's because we have to, it's just the presentation of it. So if you looked at like what was presented for the last budget on the website, it's just getting
We
everything.
can send this over to Alan in the morning and let him look at it. Cause he was
Cool.
saying that to me, he wants to look
Yeah.
at the budget.
And I'd be happy to have a phone call with you guys if it's useful, or a Zoom or something, if there's anything I can do to contribute. And then I think it's just, yeah, working with the vendor on the allocations
Okay.
to flow them through the different funds. So you can
Okay.
see so we're able to see where we end up.
So now,
And then, what now?
the things for like what the crew, what the employees have requested for budget things.
Right,
Do we even have all of those in there?
we have all,
They're all in.
they're not, no, they've been requested. They haven't been applied.
That's what I thought.
What's been requested?
So, well, when you put it in the budget, it's a request section. And you can put in their request and then you guys, and you,
So they're in here. So anything that's come into you, then it shows up in like 2023 or 2024 if it's been requested.
I don't think it's applied yet. I think it's a request and it sits there and then you decide, because I haven't seen it in anywhere in here.
So like, I'll just give you this and then make another copy.
Yeah. I shouldn't. I have a copy there.
So these things right here from November 18th are in this version from,
They're not, they're just sitting there waiting for you to decide if we're going to.
we've never seen it though.
This is. What they.
Well, Jose brought you the ones that he brought you, so those are pretty much his. There is,
Well, I fill out that request form. Is that what we're talking about?
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
right, I have your request form.
Oh, okay.
Let me go make copies of all these so you have it. Cause it does 20, Alan had stuff for 20, here, we'll just do it this way.
Didn't we see this?
No, because I just typed that up. I got it from.
We just
Would
seen
you
bits and
prefer what they
pieces
wrote
of
down,
it.
or would you prefer what I?
We just seen
introduced?
bits and pieces of it.
Whatever you.
Is that, yeah.
Whichever's easier,
And I
the
just
one
typed it up.
you put into the request would be better.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. Here's the.
I'm gonna stay away from you.
You're gonna stay away from it? You're gonna stay away?
You,
Okay.
but this is everything that's been requested, whether it be from.
Yeah.
But some things you might see,
Oh,
other things you're not, because
Which one's sick?
it's what we had in there, but,
Maybe she's just not trying to get her.
Try not to
sick.
get sick, yeah.
okay, so I don't want to get sick.
Fair, so that's fair.
Oh, seriously? So she's next to you.
So it's,
Okay, so if it says 5,000 here, but it says 10,000.
It's too late now.
I know.
You've already committed. You've been there for the last
Well,
couple
and
of
some of this
hours.
appears to be under the ARPA funds anyway, so. That's already
Yeah, it might-
in there.
I just got them from Sharon to me and type them out so that, because it was part of this packet thing.
Let's see, city flags, I think we had that in there.
Right, there was a few, but not all of them.
Okay. And I think we talked about trucks too already,
Mhm.
Yes.
so.
But like, here's one, part-time staff and computer investment, $20,000 in the summer youth activity program. We haven't talked about that one.
No,
Flood plan administrator. I think that one's covered. Flood plan administrator, planner, interim contract hire. So that's 180,000, but I think that's covered between the contract that you put forward and hiring a planner.
we talked about railroad expenses and where we gotta go with that. We'll have to take these home and think about them the next 2 days. And see if there's anything that we all feel is important.
I think I took vacation right at the right time.
Okay,
If that one's easier to read than her other one, well, it's the ones that she got from everybody, that she put in.
yeah, see, soffit replacement
50,000.
paint, we talked about allocating that. Did we allocate that?
No,
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
you wanted
were
to
trying to
see how
figure out
much
which route
we
we-
had.
Oh, we want to see what the budget looked like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And see what we wanted to do.
decide on our priorities.
yeah, maybe Thursday we can do that.
Well, that'll be our drop dead day to make sure, so. Yeah, we're just gonna have to kind of go through it and see if we see any priorities.
Do you want this one back?
She's printing up more.
Just pretty much.
Yeah, she's printing a bunch.
Some of this can be absorbed in just regular costs too. I see some of these small items.
Some of it might even be recurring operational costs anyway.
Would you want to look? You want to?
Oh, on paper, yeah. So,
And some of the small tool stuff that can be absorbed in regular fund costs. Alan's already doing the engineering on the Dale Water Sewer, right? Which is part of the ARPA fund, so. That's covered.
Mhm.
Water valve replacement, that's under ARPA. Okay.
Oh, are we,
We're waiting on the copies,
okay.
unless you wanna enlighten us with some knowledge.
I have no knowledge tonight. Zero.
We heard anything about a fertilizer plant going in North Richland?
Yeah.
Who?
I can't remember who. I can look at my.
You
notes.
should send me a message on that,
Okay,
because I haven't seen anything in the news or anywhere on it.
there's a lot of things
I'm
happening.
sorry about that. They are in there. Because it's for the city hall,
another nutrient plant.
I don't know that Nutrien would be building that.
Thank you.
Plant.
Well, they just lost one at Sunnyside.
Yeah, so they probably need one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It did.
See that
They
back?
did.
It did.
Mhm.
the.
Yeah.
Did you hear it's some really expensive plant?
Mhm.
Okay.
They're seeing all of our wonderful land that we have to offer.
Well, does anybody else have anything?
I don't right now. I think I'll look over some of the stuff within the next couple of days and hopefully Thursday night we can come
Be
to
done.
a.
Bring
Yeah.
anything that we see to the table.
Yeah, sometimes it takes me a little bit to look through all of the stuff that's been given to us. I know Sarah's a wonderful
Human
number
calculator.
cruncher over
Yeah,
there,
these are-
so I definitely rely on her expertise when it comes down to crunching numbers a little bit, so.
Councilwoman Funk, if nobody has said this to you, we appreciate the efforts you are going through in this budget.
Absolutely.
Because it makes our lives a lot easier.
Thank you. Well, I want to try to be helpful. I didn't know that these existed until now, though, and I don't.
But
So,
she did say they were already in there.
Some of them are.
some of them are,
I see some numbers that aren't in there.
but it is a big effort and it's been a big undertaking to
Yeah.
get.
Well, the good news is it's not a lot of pages, so.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
Okay,
You won't hear a complaint
all
from
in
me.
favor,
Aye.
Aye.
motion carries.